Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome to our show today. It is Thursday, October 15th, 2020. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. We have a lot of news to get through here before we open up the phone lines as normal. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. So let's get right on into it. Today was another round of the hearings regarding the confirmation of Judge Amy Coney Barrett. And this time they were talking to the expert witnesses about Amy Coney Barrett's skills and education and general character references. And you could tell the Democrats know they've lost this one because the Democrats that are asking the questions show up, but otherwise they're basically absent from the room. I mean, you look around that room, there's a lot of empty Democratic chairs there. I think they've really given up, and there was a huge backlash against Crazy Mazie Hirono's asking her about sexual assaults here. And I mean, they're just desperate to find anything they can complain about. So Tuesday, disgraced former Congresswoman Katie Hill, who resigned over sexual impropriety with a staffer, weighed in on Judge Amy Coney Barrett's clothing. I mean, this is the new thing. Oh, look at the way she's dressed. That's so 20th century here. And basically, Katie Hill came on out tweeting, "I hate to be someone who judges women on their clothes, but I'm sorry, ACB's outfits are all way too handsmade-y." Now, that, of course, is something they're trying to link to her because of her religious beliefs and trying to link it to The Handmaid's Tale. Which, for those of you who've never read it or seen the numerous movies they've made of it, it's about a religious government comes to power in the United States. At the same time, most women are unable to conceive. So those few women who are able to have babies are valuable assets, and they're called the handmaids, out of a reference in the Bible where somebody sent the handmaid into the husband, and that all kind of stuff happened. All right, now the big story continues to be, and I'm glad to see that at least Fox is carrying this, and a lot, it's getting coverage, and it should. And it has to do with the story that appeared yesterday in the New York Post, which has emails revealing how Hunter Biden introduced Joe Biden, his father, to a Ukrainian businessman in Burisma. And this was less than a year before Joe Biden pressured Ukraine into firing the prosecutor who was investigating the company. So that, it's a smoking gun bombshell. And apparently the New York Post came out with another article today that the latest cache of released emails detail how Hunter Biden earned millions of dollars from China for introductions. So we have him working for the Communist Party of China. Okay. And apparently made comments about he's pursuing lucrative deals, interesting for me and my family. And it's the second batch of secret emails to come on out. There are more. Now, a lot of people are trying to figure out exactly what happened. And the story is that sometime in 2019, Hunter Biden dropped off this laptop. It had gotten wet, bad thing for a laptop, dropped it off at the computer repair shop and never picked it up. And the story that we're getting is, and this is coming from a reporter over at One American News Network and a couple of other sources as well, that in the course of repairing this computer, the technician found some stuff on the hard drive that violates the law. Now, computer repair technicians by law are required to inform authorities if they find certain things on the hard drive of computers they're working on, such as terrorist plots, formulas for biological weapons, things like this, and child porn. Now, some of the photos on the hard drive have already come on out. Apparently, what happened is the owner of the computer store contacted the FBI and said, we have a machine here with what appears to be, I think the euphemism they're using is underage obsession photos. And the warrant for the seizure of the laptop was signed by an FBI agent who was reportedly part of their child porn division, if you will, their bureau that looks into this sort of sick behavior here. But the owner of the computer repair store copied the hard drive first, and that's what was turned over to Rudy Giuliani. And some of the photos have already come on out, including one of Hunter Biden seemingly lying totally buzzed out in bed with what certainly looks to me like a crack cocaine pipe hanging out of his mouth. And some people have tried to reproduce that photo by putting a cigarette over the crack pipe, but the original photo is out there and it's not going away. It's definitely going viral. And Rudy Giuliani is promising to share more of these private text messages from the Biden crime family. And if there are these underage obsession photos on that hard drive, that would definitely be a killer. Now, here is, basically, it's showing that Joe Biden's involvement with his son was very active. And this, of course, means that Joe Biden was lying through his teeth when he denied any involvement whatsoever. And some of these emails are expressing gratitude for being able to meet the vice president, and it was an honor and so forth. And there was a lot of money that changed hands. Now, the Biden campaign initially tried to deny this. Now they've backed off. And they're trying to say, well, it's not a big deal. It's not like Donald Trump's taxes or the Russian collusion or anything. It's just business. It's no big deal. They're trying to quiet it down. And another article, this one coming out of the Ultimate Patriot, saying how the Biden campaign is not denying the Post report on Hunter Biden's dealings with Burisma. And the reason for that is simple. If you will remember, about, I think it was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, there was a story that Burisma has in fact been hauled before the courts over their crooked business dealings, and in the course of the proceedings has testified and admitted that yes, indeed, bribe money was paid to Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. They are still arguing over just how much was paid. It's amazing that they don't have a record of that, but that's in the court record. And so if Biden denies that it happened and somebody shows up with this court record, it's going to be very obvious he's been lying. Now, the corollary to this story has been the reaction of social media, which we already know is pro-Democrat, anti-Republican. And we're seeing, shall we say, excessive zeal in their filtration of reports here. So Twitter and Facebook are blocking their users from linking to the New York Post's Hunter Biden report, presumably both of them now. And they're basically out there. They flash a little sign saying the link is potentially spammy or unsafe or it's dangerous material. Twitter is out there claiming that the story at the New York Post contains hacked materials. No, it doesn't. Hunter Biden voluntarily gave his laptop to that repair shop. Okay, and the repair shop found something on there that convinced them they needed to notify the authorities. And remember, there are laws that compel them to do that. Now, Twitter has just gone on a banning binge, if you will. They have had their accounts locked. People like Kayleigh McEnany, we're talking the White House spokesperson here. Her Twitter account is now locked because she tried to post the story from the New York Post. James Wood, actor and activist, he's got huge followers, and I follow him too. Very intelligent man. Jack Posobiec, they've been locked out of Twitter for Hunter Biden tweets. Now, Kayleigh McEnany is attacking Twitter pointing out, as has Ted Cruz, that Twitter, and for that matter, Facebook, didn't hesitate to allow posts about the Russia collusion conspiracy, which ultimately turned out to be false. They didn't block posts about the Christopher Steele affidavit, which has been thoroughly discredited. Where were their much vaunted fact checkers back then? Anyway, Kayleigh McEnany is saying she's been told she will not get her Twitter account back until she deletes the story about Joe and Hunter Biden. Twitter has even censored an official U.S. government website in their haste to protect Joe Biden. They are blocking all links to the Republican House Judiciary Committee. I mean, that is really over the top. We're talking, first of all, the New York Post is corporate media outlet. They've got a huge circulation, one of the largest in the country. That may be why Giuliani went to them here. Twitter has now suspended President Trump's campaign over the fact that they put the New York Post story into a campaign ad. And Twitter has now blocked the president's campaign account. I mean, that is so over the top. The big social media companies are literally trying to choose who's going to win this election. They're just out there. They're not even trying to hide it. And finally, people are standing up and noticing that the censorship has just gone way beyond reasonable or prudent. It's certainly not consistent with what Zuckerberg said the last time he was hauled before Congress, where he's out there saying, well, we're trying to make sure that people don't get false information. Like I said yesterday, the fact checkers can't know whether or not the New York Post story is real or not. They don't like it. That much is obvious. But fact checkers aren't acting as fact checkers when they kill stories just because they don't like what's in them. Anyway, the Senate Judiciary Committee is planning to subpoena Jack Dorsey, the Twitter CEO, after Twitter suspends the Trump campaign and the House GOP accounts. Now, back in 2018, Dorsey was testifying to Congress saying that we don't consider political viewpoints, perspectives, or party affiliation in any of our policies or enforcement decisions, period. Impartiality is our guiding principle. All right. Well, like Kayleigh McEnany and Ted Cruz and yours truly have pointed out, Twitter didn't block any posts about the Christopher Steele dossier. They didn't block any posts about the accusations that Donald Trump was colluding with the Russians. They let that stuff run rampant all over their network. It's only the bad things about Biden that have drawn this huge response. Now, over at naturalnews.com, they've got an article that lays it right out. Enough censorship. It's time for the government to seize Facebook and Twitter, arrest Zuckerberg and Dorsey over interference with an election and maliciously blocking the New York Post article. And at this point, because of the statements to the effect that the New York Post article, may not be true, I think the New York Post has got grounds to sue for defamation. And I wish they would. But these tech giants are actively engaged in election rigging, selectively blocking links to timely, well-researched investigative articles that revealed the crimes of politicians, as well as a part of a coordinated big tech conspiracy to shove a Democrat into the White House, no matter what it costs. All right. YouTube is running rampant as well. They have banned all QAnon channels ahead of the election. They began purging the QAnon channels en masse this morning, banning one of the last vestiges of pro-Trump accounts left on the site just 19 days from the election. TDV has been banned from YouTube. And the Anarchapulco 2021 news has been banned from YouTube. Okay. Joe Biden has accused James Trump of building houses in Iraq, which James has denied. And Donald Trump, in response last night, called for Biden to release all details of his family's business dealings and influence peddling around the world, following a raucous rally in Iowa in which he painted a damning picture of the business dealings of Hunter Biden and Biden's brother, James. Okay, I may have had the wrong James here. So anyway, it's confusing. It really is. Remember Bruce Orr? He was basically involved in that whole Christopher Steele dossier with the author, Christopher Steele himself. And apparently a final decision is imminent in his disciplinary review. And before that can happen, Bruce Orr has now resigned from the Justice Department. Donald Trump is dropping hints he may fire Attorney General William Barr, saying he's not happy with all the evidence after the AG's probes into unmasking and Russiagate fall flat before the election. All right, this is a very, very serious story. This is happening, well, probably a lot of places, but it's really happening out in Southern California. And it has to do with these fake ballot drop boxes. And apparently Tuesday afternoon on NPR's All Things Considered, GOP spokesman Hector Barajas said that these fake ballot drop boxes are popping up all over Southern California. They're trying to go to court. They want to find out who is behind them. And of course, both sides are blaming the other. But here's the reason why these are a problem. There's a code on the outside of all the ballots, and in that code is buried an indicator whether the voter is a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent. And so somebody who set up these fake ballot drop boxes, they could take all those ballots and they could sort through them. And they could take the ballots that are by people of the opposing party, throw them in a ditch someplace, take what's left, shove them into a real ballot drop box, and thereby they're rigging the election. Anyway, the Orange County District Attorney is investigating these unofficial ballot drop boxes, which are set up at churches, political party offices, and retail locations. The boxes have popped up in Los Angeles and Ventura counties. They're labeled to resemble county-sanctioned containers, and some public officials have shared their locations, encouraging supporters to use them to cast their votes. This election is so crooked, they're having to screw those ballots into those ballot boxes. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't care who wins in 19 days. This election is discredited. It's a joke. It really is. Anyway, over at True the Vote, Catherine Engelbrecht is saying that, yes, you've got to keep watch of these ballot drop boxes. And somebody else called into Rush Limbaugh's show the other day asking, where are the mail-in ballots being stored? Are they being kept securely? And apparently there was somebody who called into Rush Limbaugh's show saying the reason basement Biden and the DNC are just going through the motions of campaigning and don't give a reason, don't care how bad the optics are, is because they are, in fact, planning on stealing this election. They've been telegraphing that for a long time. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about COVID-19. It's still out there. It's still active. It's still doing whatever. And a lot of people have been writing me saying, isn't it funny that only only Republicans are coming down with COVID-19 and the Democrats aren't? Well, that has now changed because two individuals linked to the Biden campaign have tested positive for COVID-19. Biden called a lid, went back to his basement today. Kamala Harris is suspending her campaign until this coming Monday. And apparently Harris's communications director, Liz Allen, and a non-staff flight crew member tested positive for COVID-19. Over in Sweden, they're still scratching their heads, or the rest of the world is scratching their heads, rather, over the fact that Sweden has not gone along with this whole lockdown idea, and they still have the lowest coronavirus death rate in Europe. Now, Swedish Health Chief Olivia Wigzell explained that Sweden didn't impose the kind of coronavirus lockdown seen in other European countries in order to prevent the public from developing pandemic fatigue. Probably a smart move to make. We're seeing it here. We're all dealing with pandemic fatigue. It's been months and months now. People are sick of it. In fact, Claire and I went to the Walmart this morning, and I was surprised at how many people were walking around without masks, and even more surprised that nobody from Walmart was wagging a finger at them and telling them to go get a mask. All right, we got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back after these few words.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through healthyworldstore.com.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children.
Welcome back to our show here. And once again, a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network is in the middle of a perpetual fundraiser. And the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. Before we get back to the COVID-19, I was noticing during the break, Fox News is going with this story about how all these social media giants are trying desperately to block this New York Post article on Hunter Biden, both of the articles here. And it occurs to me, this is backflashing on social media because what they're doing is they're going to have the banned in Boston effect here. And if you don't know what that means, in the heyday of touring theatrical presentations, plays would play in Boston, which was very staid, very conservative. And if there was anything that was offensive in the play, the local government would ban it. Well, that would get everybody else in the country wondering what was so horrible about this play that it was banned in Boston. And they would have sellout crowds for the rest of the tour all over the country. And so banned in Boston basically means that you're going to attract the public's attention to what it is you're trying to hide. And that, I think, is exactly what's going to happen here. Because if social media had just let it come and go, it would have just come and gone. And people would have said, well, it's just more of the same corruption we're aware of. But now that they've got this huge stink going on, more and more people are going to say, we should seriously take a closer look at this and take another look at what Hunter Biden and Joe Biden have been doing. And of course, it's also resulting in the public and now Congress looking closer at Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and saying, do I really want these billion-dollar corporations to be deciding for me what is important for me to know? And the answer of that, of course, is going to be no. All righty, getting on back to COVID-19, a scientist over at one of the British labs, the UK Biocenter, basically came on out. He's gone public, saying that the working practices are chaotic and dangerous. And as a matter of fact, we were aware that the testing center that handled Claire and my tests had some kind of a disruption as well. Now, here is an article that came out of hideoutnow.com in which the CDC is now admitting or claiming that at no time has CDC guidance suggested that masks were intended to protect the wearers. Okay. Now, I seem to recall differently early on here. Dr. Fauci is predicting that by April, the U.S. will have enough doses of coronavirus vaccines for the general public, assuming that they can work out the problems that are causing neurological disorders in the test subjects there. Facebook, which seems to be on a tear regarding banning things, is now banning ads that question the safety of COVID-19 vaccines. Now, there is a legitimate reason to question the safety, given how AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson had to shut down their testing protocols because some of their participants came down with neurological diseases here. So, yeah, well, this is why I don't use Facebook anymore, and I haven't for a very, very long time. I forget the last time I did anything on Facebook here. Anyway, getting on back to Dr. Fauci, he is now out there warning that COVID cases could spike if we go ahead with holiday gatherings like Thanksgiving, Halloween, and presumably Christmas as well. And he's urging caution to families. Here in our part of Indiana, they basically put on out, if you want to do trick-or-treating, leave your porch light on, have a mask, have gloves to hand out the candy. If you'd rather not, leave the porch light off. And presumably all the trick-or-treaters understand. Lights on, goodies are there, lights off, leave alone. So we'll handle that here. This is a really good one. Birmingham City Council accidentally handed out used coronavirus test kits. About 25 kits were given out by mistake in the student area of Selly Oak as part of the drop and collect service. Now, the error was quickly realized. The kits were intact. There was no evidence of cross-contamination, they say here. Okay, Paris. France puts Paris and 8 other major cities under a nighttime curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. with businesses closed as Macron battles the European second wave, which we keep hearing may be based on some botched statistical analysis, much as the original predictions of massive deaths were going to be were found to be based on numerical errors. All right, we're going to take another break here for commercials. We're going to open the phone lines, 800-313-9443. We got callers already waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly.
The new Ease Off Model EZ4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cachingproperty.com. That's cachingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Extend your life with Extendovite, a 7-herb combination made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, hawthorn, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Each herb was chosen for their abilities to help improve irregular heartbeats, chest pain, lower cholesterol, as well as normalize blood pressure and clean and strengthen arteries, plus much, much more. Doctors have taken people off of some or all of their pills just because they believe their patients got better while taking Extendovite. Get the dependability of Extendovite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to start taking phone calls, beginning with Kevin in West Virginia. Kevin, welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hi, Mr. Mike. I wanted to talk to you about Joe and Hunter Biden and the election for a minute. I do believe, everything that's going on right now with Hunter and Joe, I do believe that Joe should step down. I believe this should disqualify him for any type of office. I mean, it does show. We already know all of this, what the business dealings. We know it. But here's actual smoking gun proof that that everything's going on. But I'm curious to know, do you feel the same way that this should disqualify him from being on the ballot?
I think it disqualifies him from potentially being president because we're hearing about all of this stuff that Hunter Biden did that may be out there that could be used as leverage on him, especially if he's got these underage obsession photos on that laptop computer of his. Pressure could be brought to bear on him, which could then be brought to bear on a future President Joe Biden. And for that very reason, I see Hunter Biden as a threat to national security.
I absolutely agree with you 100%. And I couldn't have said that any better. With Facebook and Twitter, regarding to them, you were talking about earlier, they should be seized. I agree. I think they should take it one step further and actually send in the army, because look at what Twitter and Facebook, who they're working with. China, a foreign country.
Yes.
That's A, election meddling. B, it's our national security once again. And C, this is racketeering. But nothing is never going to come of this. Christopher Wray and the FBI is not going to do anything with Hunter and Joe Biden. They're just going to sit on their butts and spin around in circles. I mean, once again, a two-tier justice system. And it's, this is what I'm upset about. Here's blatant crimes, but yet you're going to send police and everything over, us peons if we don't put our mask on, which this whole scamdemic, it's a joke. I mean,
well, you've missed an important question there. You've missed an important question there. We know that Twitter and Facebook have business dealings in China here, and it's right to ask if China put pressure on them to block this story about Joe Biden, because remember, the second New York Post story had Hunter Biden involved in a corrupt relationship with Chinese companies.
Exactly. I mean, and this is the type of stuff that gets me upset. Here me and you, living a decent life. We're not millionaires and billionaires like these people who have the influence that they have. Just imagine if you or Claire went and made these type of business dealings, the type of pressure, the type of heat that you would be under. But because it's Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, i.e. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, these people get off scot-free.
Yes, really they do. Yes, they do. I mean,
it really,
yeah. There's that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's that court case. Judge finally allowed it to move forward, where apparently a whistleblower is out there saying that the IRS turned a blind eye to the wrongdoing at the Clinton Foundation to the tune of $2.5 billion worth of unpaid taxes. And yeah, it seems like we have certain families within this country that are untouchable and seem to get to the top of our political structure. And it's almost like our government is less a government and more an organized crime family.
It does seem that way. It does seem that our government and Facebook and Twitter and your big tech giant companies, I mean, does act like a mafia. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the strong-arm tactics that government uses. Like, I hate to say this, but the biggest gang, if you want to say it, call it a gang, the biggest bad people, it's DC. I mean, DC is not our nation's capital. It's a national crime scene. That's what I think it is, as well as a narcocracy. But that's besides the point. I mean, when are we, us common people, when are we going to see some justice here? I mean, Barr sitting on his butt, the FBI sitting on these emails and these pictures for how long now? Since December of last year?
Yeah, they had the laptop December of last year with evidence of crimes. Again, if it's true about the some of the photos that are on there, Hunter Biden should have been arrested for those alone, let alone the incriminating emails with Ukraine and China.
That's what I'm talking about. They've been sitting on this. Imagine if you were sitting on some type of evidence, even though, you're a reporter, you have a radio show. Imagine if you were sitting on evidence like that, you would be in trouble for sitting on, just even sitting on it. But here the FBI gets away scot-free, blocking for Joe Biden. The FBI should be, that's election meddling by them too. I mean,
it is.
When is all of these people going to be held accountable for their actions? But yet somebody like you and I go back to this, but somebody like you and I, may walk across the street without a crosswalk and get nailed for jaywalking. Why don't we get the same treatment, or why don't these people get the same treatment as you and I get? They put their pants on just like you and I. What makes them any more special? Nothing.
Money and power.
It makes me so
mad.
I agree. I mean, money's, stacks of ink and paper that really doesn't mean anything. I mean, I think we should go back to a barter system. But it goes back to my original question. Is Barr going to do something? If not, then get out. Christopher Wray should have been out a long time ago. I mean, I would like to see Trump clean house, but I don't, it's more of the same. Nothing's going to be done. And then here we go, losing our republic. I mean, it's here you and I are fighting for it, but the people that we need to fight, we're just going to put our heads in the sand and not worry about it because they don't understand, censorship, or they just, maybe they're in their pocket. Maybe they just don't care. I don't know. But
maybe they all did weekends down to Jeff Epstein, and he's, whoever's got those audio and videotapes are calling all the shots. There's obviously a lot of chips being called in on this particular situation. And again, to reiterate, did China influence Facebook and Twitter to try and put the kibosh on this story?
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Mike. That's all I have for you. I hope you have a wonderful day and give Miss Claire the best.
I certainly will. Thank you very much for the call. We're going to switch over to Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Kevin was spot on, Mike.
Yep.
The FBI, the Justice Department. Look at what the thing that sticks out to me, though, Mike, is that everybody knew Hunter Biden and the Bidens. They're crooks. Anybody who knew anything, they've been lifelong career criminals, like the Clintons, like Obama, who appointed them all, by the way.
Yes.
But it's so in your face when all these social media companies, all owned, as I say again and again, just like the New York Times and all the networks and all the movies and all that, but Facebook, Zuckerberg, Twitter, they call it now Joogle instead of Google. I mean, all these, Sergey Brin owns that. All these guys are Zionists. Everything. Wikipedia, Sergey Brin owns that too. All these things, and here they are. They're taking the White House press secretary, and they're not allowing her to communicate. They're not allowing the President of the United States to get his message out in the midst of what is probably the most important election in our lifetime, maybe ever in the United States. And look what's going on here, and look at the people who have been where the FBI and the Justice Department and the deep state, and who must be controlling them, because they certainly moved along with Russiagate, didn't they? They did. They certainly had all that stuff, and when they called with Nadler and Rosenstein and all these guys, when they were calling it the Jew coup, the impeachment of Trump, which was completely bogus. Look who's behind all this. And I repeat, you cannot criticize these people in 28 different states. They've owned 28
What's really amazing, though, is look at how much Trump did for Israel, and for some reason, they still don't like him. Maybe it's because they think Biden will be even easier to control over here. But, when all of this was coming down, Christopher Steele, Russiagate, the rest of it, Twitter and Facebook didn't interfere with any of those posts. When the Trump tax leak came out recently, as one of my listeners just pointed out to me, that was illegal to leak his tax records and then to publish them. And Facebook and Twitter didn't stop posts about those.
Yeah, no hesitation. Just like the Steele thing, which they totally were in collusion to do, the FBI and the CIA. About peeing on a bed that ridiculous thing that so many people bought for so long, and they're still trying to get it across. There's still movies on HBO that talk about it. It's the power is so pervasive. It's in your face now. And Mike and everybody out there listening, look at if they can shut off Kayleigh, the press secretary, and the Trump campaign and the president in the middle of an election. What do you think is going to happen to what'sreally.com or whatreallyhappened.com or anything? If the president can't get his word out, what's going to happen if we don't do something about this? And look at the people behind it. Look at the people behind it.
Yep.
So I know I must sound like a broken record, but to me, it's very apparent. But anyways, Mike, I must have a lot of people called today.
Yeah, the lines are loaded up here right now. In fact, I think they're full at the moment here. So if you're trying to call in and you don't get through, wait a few minutes and try again. Thank you for the call. Yeah, the lines are full. Thank you for the call. We're going to switch over to Dave in Florida. Hello, Dave. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi, Mike.
Hi.
Remember what that guy in Austin says? The Arabs own the media, right?
Yeah, right.
It was interesting to hear Layla call earlier in the week, I guess, about her experience at the CBC. My dad was a writer there for a time, but he was fired because his scripts often used bad words. But I was wondering, do you remember Lynn Russell, CNN Headline News?
Oh, vaguely.
Yeah, she left back in 2001 because she was dissatisfied with the way they were going. But anyway, she went to the CBC for a couple of years, and she was actually prohibited from doing an assignment about the return of Canadian soldiers' remains because she was an American. If you can believe that. But anyway, I don't want to get too far off track here. I work at one of the larger theme parks here in Orlando. I don't want to name any names, but there have been quite a few layoffs. They've got notices going around now. In my particular division, they're begging for staff to work overtime and work a sixth day. And for me, it's kind of like Captain Picard, palm to forehead sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, there's a disconnect there with wanting staffers to work overtime in 6 days, and this idea that the Disney organization, at least, is like letting go of a quarter of their staff. I mean, are they asking you to work the overtime an extra day without added pay?
No, it's not compulsory. They're just putting up notices. If anybody's willing to do it, they can use the help, and they are clearly short-staffed. Like I said, I don't want to go into too great detail and identify myself. You understand, but they've got to. I mean, things have to get back to normal here. That's my point. I'm not fond of the politics of the place, but a lot of people do honest work there, make a decent paycheck, and this whole hoax has to end. They still have us wearing masks, which is absolutely absurd. Even though the governor tried to nullify the mask order, the county commissioners or mayors, as they call them here, are saying, no, you keep your mask on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the governor's got to step in and put a stop to this crap.
Yeah, it's all being driven by fear and not science, unfortunately. And I mean, there's an article we've got here where, according to Oxford University, the head of their vaccine team is saying that face masks and social distancing will last until next summer.
No, that
That's pretty bad. I'm going to take a guess that the amusement park that you work at is not going to survive till next summer without the crowds coming back.
Well, I'll tell you quite literally that the staff, physically are not going to survive because we're out in, tropical, hot, humid weather wearing those stupid face diapers.
Okay.
And people are going to start getting sick. I mean, my wife works at another park, and she has some medical issues, and she carries a pulse oximeter, and her at one point her blood oxygen level was down to 75%.
Geez, that's dangerous. That's hospital time.
Yes, and she works in a hot, humid kitchen.
Okay.
And I feel like screaming from the mountaintop. I mean, this all has to end.
Well, there's that new article that recently came on out. Ben Swan covered it. It's been covered by a couple of other places as well, where a new CDC study is showing that if you wear a mask, you are more likely to come down with coronavirus than if you're not wearing a mask. Unfortunately, that study isn't really getting out. I know here in Indiana, they've extended the mask mandate until the middle of November. So I'm going to start wearing my little Guy Fawkes masks back there. To be in compliance.
Yes, well, when I go out on my own, away from work, I've got to wear it, obviously. But when I'm out, shopping, doing whatever, no, I'm not wearing it. I'm not participating in this hoax any further. I'm not indulging them any further.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I got, Mike. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you for the phone call. And we're going to switch over to Layla in Canada. And Layla, your ears must be burning. People are talking about you. What's on your mind today?
Yes, Mike. The claim that lockdowns and the use of masks were not recommended by the WHO, the WHO, is an absolute lie. They did go back and forth. One of the things you can do when you're about to take over a populace, whether it's an actual military action or simply a psychological warfare action, is you confuse them. You give them one order, then you give them another order, and then you deny the first order. Well, here in Canada, now I sent you an email with links to how the virus.
Hold that thought. Okay, Layla, hold that thought. I got to put you on hold. We're going to take a break for commercials. I'm going to come right back to you, so don't hang up. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Red Pill Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider, what really happened.
Welcome back to our show here. We're on the line with Layla in Canada. And Layla, if you could just sort of pick up where you left off.
Yes, there's in an email I sent you, I sent a link, but you may not have had time to look at it. It's from Reuters. It was reported July 2019 about the RCMP, Canada's National Police Force, investigating on the basis of a public health agency complaint that one of the most prominent national microbiology lab, Chinese employees had been making numerous trips from, and this highly selective and secretive lab, they were making trips from Canada to China. And they were finally arrested. And now it's called the National Microbiology Lab, but it is actually a BSL, Biosafety Lab, Level 4. These labs claim
That's serious
to be
stuff.
formulating, pardon?
I said BSL-4 is serious stuff.
They're all over the world. You've got them in the U.S., but that's where the particular virus was being investigated. The cover story is that they are looking for curatives or therapies for bioweapons so that when they are released, they will have a vaccine ready for them. However, they're actually creating bioweapons. Now, it's possible that the COVID-19, one of the employees apparently stole part of the material and took it with them to the Wuhan lab, which is also a BSL-4. These labs are also sanctioned by the WHO, the World Health Organization. Now, the head of the WHO, Tedros Ghebreyesus, is himself accused of crimes against humanity. And he was the one who delayed in acknowledging that there might be a pandemic. The question is, did it escape accidentally when one of these people was stealing material and taking it to China in order for them to develop it, or was it a coordinated effort is the other possibility. If it was released prematurely, then it would create a disease amongst the populace that might indeed cause low-level infections in some people, or and very severe symptoms in older people that would actually kill them, people who already had pre-existing conditions. But you've got to, I mean, just go to Reuters. If I could find it on the website a couple days ago,
remember the story.
It will be there.
I remember the story. It wasn't just the BSL-4 in Canada. There were also indications that materials from within the United States of America had also been taken to China. Now, my view is that if COVID-19 was a biological weapon, it was a very bad one because of the low mortality rates that we're seeing here, or even the low incapacitation rates. Which is why I lean towards somebody dropped a test tube.
I believe it was released prematurely by accident, that it was being developed as a bioweapon, that there was something in store. And once it was out there, they said, well, let's take advantage of it. Even if it doesn't kill off as many people as we would like, or the targeted populations that we had in mind, if it is out there in the general public, it serves our purpose of creating panic and divisiveness and gives us an excuse to alienate people. Remember when they started talking about the second wave, it was 2 or 3...
Yeah, Layla, I'm sorry, we're out of time. I got to let you go. We got to take a station identification. We got more callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
Oh, yeah.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And before we get back to the phones, which are full, I've got an email from a listener here basically running the idea that a virus that just makes you sick but doesn't kill off a lot of people is the perfect sales device for somebody who's invested heavily in vaccine manufacturing. And yeah, that's certainly an idea that we can't dispose of quickly. Let's go back to the phones here to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mike, first of all, I just wanted to about what the social media is doing. If you had a president who would have any guts and knows what he's doing, and he would not have allowed this in the first place.
Yes.
Many of these corporations need to be broken up under the RICO Act and also under the antitrust, Sherman antitrust. Should have been done a long time ago. People like Zuckerberg and Dorsey and the Indian guy, I can't pronounce his name, Zundar or whatever. These guys should have been arrested a long time. So should that guy Schmidt too. I think he used to head Google also. These people are no good. They're evil to the max, and they're tied in with this whole Corona mess too. Which I was listening earlier today to John Rappaport.
Yes,
and he said the CDC, under the CDC itself, admits they don't have a copy of that virus. Nobody evidently does. Okay, this virus may be a total fake. They may have taken, I don't know, out of different colds and stuff like that, and said different symptoms, and they say this causes a virus. You can get pneumonia from a cold. If you have a common cold, first of all, if you got a compromised immune system,
yes,
and even if you get too wet or something and too cold and something, you don't warm up quickly and stuff. I remember my parents used to always warn me about pneumonia. Okay, when I was a little kid.
Yep.
How to stay out of the cold, or if you do, wear proper rain gear and stuff like that. I mean, that's a known fact. So even a common cold can have complications under certain conditions. This is let alone the actual flu. And if you notice, there's almost no flus anymore. Everything is now Corona.
Yes.
All this. They're giving themselves away. These people, they're all tied together. Their goal is to take away our freedoms, first of all, and kill most or all of us, and turn into their robot society. The last YouTube video I was able to put out, it actually got through before they banned. They really banned me. They suspended me. I call the term? Let's keep Terminator fiction. Okay, that's the name of it, and for obvious reasons, because this is where we're headed. We're headed towards that type of society, and where robots rule. Maybe get us into a nuclear war. All these things about Skynet that's basically coming true. that it is the globalists basically who ramp up tension between the U.S. and Russia, and they have these nuclear, and a lot of our nuclear weapons are computerized. So all it takes is one little mistake, one little misread, and you could have a Holocaust right there, and then that would be the end of the world. Just as they showed in the Terminator. Got to understand, these techies, these high-tech people need to be brought down. They are really committing crimes. They're interfering with an election. They should be brought up on charges of treason. Okay? I think they should be executed for what they do. At least spend the rest of their lives in a supermax prison. All right?
Well, the worst punishment you can visit on a rich person is to make them a poor person. But as I said yesterday in another call, if Citizens United says that the First Amendment applies to corporations, then the First Amendment does apply to corporations. And I think somebody needs to run with that and basically say these corporations are depriving Americans of their First Amendment rights. They certainly have deprived the White House press secretary of her First Amendment rights. They've deprived the Trump campaign of their First Amendment rights. The GOP Senate Judiciary Committee of their First Amendment rights, and the New York Post of their First Amendment rights. So something is definitely wrong there, and something does have to be done.
By the way, Mike, I've been sharing as much as I can. I've been getting a hold of the New York Post online and sharing them to Facebook, also to my story on Facebook. I'm pushing everything I can, and I can't get put it on Twitter because I have been banned from there. Okay, I've been permanently suspended from Twitter, but I do get it on Facebook. I tell people share some more. Okay, you've got to teach these people a lesson. I'm no fan of Trump. I'm very disappointed in Trump.
Yes, me too.
If nothing else, just to teach these people a lesson, we got to get Trump
Obviously.
reelected. And the other thing too, hopefully Trump gets some sense in his head and clears these deep staters out. Here he gets rid of Comey, and who does he put in? This guy Ray, who's just as bad, if not worse, than Comey.
Yes.
And why didn't he get a guy like David Clark, sheriff from Milwaukee County, who helped him in his campaign? Why did he put him as FBI director? I was thinking today, the sheriff who's standing up for those people in Michigan, those so-called militia people in Michigan, that would make a good FBI director. Okay, put some patriots in there. If you don't want to disband the FBI, which I think should be done, but if you don't want to do that, at least put some people in there who will really bring some smoke. And put Giuliani in as a attorney general, for crying out loud. The guy was probably one of the greatest investigators this country's ever had when he was a U.S. attorney in the Southern District. I mean, they feared him. Left, right, politicians, business, corporate heads, they all feared that man because they knew if they do wrong, he was like a bloodhound. He'd snip them out. Then he'd be like a pit bull and hold and don't let go. The guy was great. Okay, I'm not going to say he was that good as a mayor. That's debatable. But when he was U.S. attorney, there was never a better investigator, probably, than him. I mean, he was awesome. That's who Trump should have put in as the attorney general from the get-go, with Dave Clark as his FBI director. They would have really cleaned house, and they would have done it quick. And he should have gotten rid of all these people at the CIA. I couldn't believe when he puts this witch there, Haskell, in there again.
Yeah, that was... Trump's getting bad advice, or he's getting advice from his advisors that is supporting the deep state and contrary to the general public's best interests.
But Mike, how dumb can a man be? Everybody says what a great businessman he is. But I wouldn't have done stuff like that. I just got a high school diploma, Mike. I'd have known better than to put some of these people in. I knew who these people were. I knew who John Bolton was. I knew who Pompeo was. I know who all these people are.
You and I have studied this situation for a lot of years. I've been doing this, for a quarter of a century here. I think I'd make a very good political consultant. But Donald Trump has spent that same amount of time being a businessman, and not always a good one, because he did lose a lot of money, and he did have to go through a bankruptcy or two. So probably he doesn't or didn't at the time understand what was really going on with John Bolton. He basically read their press releases and their resumes and said, okay, let's go with these individuals. And I think Trump was very naive coming into the White House about the reality of Washington politics. It's certainly a very, very different world than the executive suite at a corporation.
Yeah, Mike, but he shot off his mouth enough about politics through the years, okay? Well, before he was talking about running, okay? He always had an opinion about something. So if you had an opinion about something, you should know what you're talking about, okay? You should know, once you get in there as president, you should know who the good guys and who the bad guys are.
Yes.
Not rocket science, Mike. And I'm so disgusted with it, and yet it's coming down to a choice now between which crook do you want to vote for. But I'll go with Trump this time, because as bad as he is, he's not as bad as Biden. All this stuff is coming out about Biden. And folks, share that stuff about the New York Post story, okay? I knew it already.
Biden is visibly deteriorating. Biden is visibly deteriorating. So we're looking at a Kamala Harris presidency.
Yeah, and she's as bad as Biden, if not worse. Matter of fact, I call her Hillary with a little bit more pigmentation. That's basically Kamala Harris. Very, very
That's
similar.
a good description. I like that. I like that.
Clone.
Yes.
A darker skin clone. That's basically, all right, Mike, you take it easy, okay, buddy?
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Joe in Tennessee, and the lines are open now if you want to call on in, 800-313-9443. Joe, what is on your mind today?
Well, first, I'd like to tell Mark, just keep your vote. Just don't vote for Donald Trump. We don't want your vote. These guys that just call in and run him down. Spends his whole phone call to running down Trump, and at the last minute goes, well, I'm going to vote for him, but don't even bother. We don't want your vote. I'm sure Trump doesn't either. I mean, we don't need people like that in our foxhole, I mean, there's a lot going on in this world. Trump's taking on the deep state, and you got all these little whiny little bitches, excuse my French, but there's not a better word for it. And,
well, Joe, you're starting to sound like the other Joe who said 56% of Americans who think they're better off now than 4 years ago shouldn't vote for Biden.
They shouldn't vote for 54% of them think they're better off. They should vote for Trump. I mean, but this whole election is coming down to, like, what kind of America do you want? If America votes for Biden, America deserves every bit that they're going to get. I mean, that's kind of my attitude. If America is so going to turn a blind eye to this corruption, if they're so easily manipulated by the media, if they'll look the other way, go along with the Russia peeing on mattresses crap, to tell you the truth, through it. I mean, this is Trump's, Trump's had a lot of, he hasn't done as much as I would like. And this whole thing with the FBI is ridiculous, but he's had a war against them the whole freaking time he's been president. He's had a fake Russia thing. He's had the FBI after him, the CIA after him, his own congressmen and senators. I read today that all these FBI guys are getting off the hook because the Republican senators are the ones that said, well, there was Russia collusion. So they have something to fall back on and said, see, we were trying to save the country from Russia. So yeah, we might have violated some rules, but our heart was in the right place. So it's all a big scam, and it's all gunned at Trump. But really, what I wanted to call about was that guy in the computer store with the Biden thing. What a brilliant person. Here comes, and what a moron Hunter Biden is. I mean, to leave his computer where it's got all kinds of pictures on there and emails, and then not come pick it up. But the real story here is the fact that this guy who's like legally blind, he found some of this stuff and he called the FBI, but he was smart enough to know how corrupt our FBI is.
Yes.
He was smart enough to know that he had to make a copy of the hard drive. And who did he give it to? Rudy Giuliani's lawyer. Because he was smart enough. Whoever this guy, they should give him a medal because he understands what a swamp of corruption our FBI has become. I mean, there's going to end up, I hope there is going to end up some really vile pictures on there so the American people can see how the FBI will overlook child pornography. Child pornography. If the pornographer's a vice president's son, how sick. How sick.
I agree.
We ought to hunt these They have to hunt these people down, these Bidens and these child molesters, and beat them in the street. And that Antifa guy that was talking about guillotines, we definitely need guillotines. And the other thing we need guillotines for are these censors. I think every person, any censor in any corporation or media, anybody that censors anybody, if it has nothing to do with violence or pornography or anything, child porn, something like that, may be different. But to censor somebody's political views, that I'll put them in a freaking guillotine myself. I really
All
do,
right,
because
we'll
you're
let you hold the
violating
handle.
our constitutional rights, and our constitutional rights are dear. You know, there's a time when somebody tried to censor you or call you a liar, they'd have duels. Our ancestors would have Aaron Burr and Jackson, President Jackson. They had duels, whether it be swords or by guns, because they had integrity and they wouldn't allow this kind of nonsense. But I've always been sickened. I've always hated people that try to censor other people. I don't care if it's something I agree with or not. The censor is one of the most lowest level things on the face of the earth. And it's time, because these people are so powerful, I really think Antifa's onto something, in that the only way to deal with people like this now is through vigilante justice. I think we're beyond, it's hopeless really to expect the system to correct itself, because the system is so absolutely corrupt now that it has to be done through vigilantism. And I don't know how you do that against Facebook and YouTube and people like that, but they have it coming. And you know, I'm just hoping that they get their comeuppance and they get served what they're due.
So do I. So do I. All right. Well, Joe, we're going to let you go here. Thank you very much for the phone call. And Mark in North Carolina called back in. He wanted to respond to the comments about mouthing off. So, Mark, are you there? Mark in North Carolina.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
there you are. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to tell Joe this, okay? I'm not voting for Trump because of you, Joe. I couldn't care what you say, Joe. I don't care about you, all right? I care about my country. I don't like Trump. I think he's a horrendous president, but I know if we get Biden Harris, it'll be 10 times worse, okay? That's why I'm voting for Trump. But the man has no excuses for being so stupid, including the fact that he didn't do anything about election fraud years ago.
Yeah, I have a big bone to pick with him about that.
Including the fact that that he keeps on appointing these dirtbags in his cabinet, like Barr, like having Sessions in there before, like having Wray as the FBI director, having Pompeo, the warmongering dirtbag, as his Secretary of State, and many others. Okay, that's Trump's fault because he's a moron. You understand that, Joe? The man is a moron. But I'll take this moron over the complete evil scum that the Democrats are pushing. All right? That's all I got to say, Mike. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. And we're going to switch over to Joe in California. Hello, Joe in California. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
This is better than a soap opera.
Well, it's getting to be a little too much of a soap opera, but it does make for good radio on occasion.
You know, Mike, in fairness to Mark, I mean, Mark's a patriot. In fairness to Mark, I mean, Trump is a flawed candidate. And Joe himself admitted it a few weeks ago. He was running down Trump about all the violence. So, I mean, come on, Joe, be consistent. You're attacking Mark for being, you know, anti-Trump and this and that. I mean, he's a flawed candidate. Just admit it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, we need every vote we can get. The alternative is just too scary to contemplate. But, Mike, I wanted to second what Layla was saying about these labs. I mean, there's been some excellent reporting by a Bulgarian journalist. Her name is Dilyana Gaitangieva. And she's written many articles about these bioweapons labs that many of them are bordering Russia.
Yes.
You know, what a coincidence. But they're in Georgia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Laos, Cambodia, Philippines. So this is a real, I mean, Mark mentioned nuclear weapons. I'm terrified about what the Davos elite has planned for our future. They control these labs, these BSL-4 labs. This is our future. I'm just wondering when the next pandemic or plandemic is going to. I'm scared to death. I mean, this is our future.
Well, I live in fear of somebody dropping a test tube at one of those BSL-4s and something, walking out on the sole of somebody's shoe. And I know that the precautions they supposedly take in those BSL-4s are stringent, but on the other hand, we know that the anthrax that was used in the post 9/11 anthrax attacks actually came from a similar facility at Fort Detrick. So these things can get out either accidentally or deliberately.
What is your? You mentioned it during Layla's call. What is your theory on this whole COVID thing?
I think it was some pathogen that was in development, R&D, and it was accidentally released because if it were a biological weapon, it's a really bad one. Yeah, I'm going to hold you over. Stay on the line. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed the newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
The newspaper? Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, a majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper does not give out the important attention on what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far 5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Joe in California. And Joe, just sort of pick up where you left off.
Yeah, just two quick points, Mike. Before I want to say this. Yeah, Mark, we do need your vote because Mark is living in a battleground state, North Carolina.
Yes.
So we do need that vote. Mike, what is the difference between, you know how we've been discussing nationalism, white supremacy, or just nationalism in general?
Yes.
What is the difference between nationalism and what the elite seem to repeat constantly about the exceptionalism of the United States? How even Obama would say, "I believe in exceptionalism of this country." And what was her name? The former Secretary of State. She called the U.S.
Hillary
the
Clinton.
indispensable nation. The old witch that was
Hillary
poo-pooed
Clinton.
the deaths of the 500,000. No, she was the Secretary of State for Clinton. She poo-pooed the 500,000 Iraqi children who
Madeleine
died because of the
Albright.
sanctions. Madeleine Albright, right. I mean,
Right.
What is the difference? Isn't that nationalism too?
Yes, that is nationalism. That's my country first and foremost, and we're the best at everything that we do. And it was certainly an attitude.
Criticizing people who are nationalists.
Yeah, they are now. It certainly wasn't that way when I was in grade school. We were encouraged to have a nationalist view of the greatness of the United States of America. Of course, we'd just come out of World War II, and our propagandists were making it sound like we'd won it all by ourselves, which was simply not true. But yeah, nationalism was something that was very much being indoctrinated into youth when I was a youth.
But exceptionalism is it's almost bordering on arrogance, and even saying the indispensable. The nationalists in this country don't use that term, exceptionalism. They're just proud of being Americans, and they just want the best for this country.
Yes, that's exactly what nationalism is.
But Mike, last question. What was I was watching you on YouTube yesterday, and you seemed, or a couple of days ago, you seemed a little bit skeptical of of Dr. Cowan, the contagion myth, and his co-author. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, they kind of lost me when they tried to blame the Black Plague on a comet emitting X-rays. Comets are very cold objects. They don't have enough energy to produce X-rays. If you understand how X-rays are formed, you'd understand why. And the idea of making these sweeping generalizations that there are no viruses or bacteria that can infect people and cause diseases. What it is they took a couple of isolated cases of not knowing and tried to create a general conclusion from it. And yes, I was very skeptical and about that point of view.
Because I think this Dr. Andrew Kaufman, I think he's been making the same argument.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to think, but obviously there's something. I don't know if this is just a bad flu, but I read John Rappaport as well, and he's been critical of this PCR test from the get-go, and as well as these false positives. So I just don't know what to think. But then I see news reports coming from France and Spain that hospital people entering the hospital, that number of cases of people entering the hospital has gone up.
Yes.
Or at the ICU unit. So I don't know what to think.
Well, the so-called second wave here. Well, the reason we don't know what to think is that there's been so much conflicting information thrown at us. And as a previous caller mentioned, this might be deliberate to keep us all confused so we don't know what's going on. For all we know, what they're calling COVID-19 could actually just be the seasonal flu. And it's a particularly rough one, but the seasonal flu selectively kills off the old and immunity-challenged individuals here.
Exactly. Well, even the flu, Australia reported 0 cases of flu.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those cases of flu have become COVID. That's clear.
Well, remember earlier on, there was the story about how doctors and hospitals were being financially incentivized to list COVID-19 as the cause of illness or the cause of death, even when very obviously something else was involved.
Course, right.
The idea was
that was stated by
they died of anything, but they had the COVID-19 at the same time. The death was attributed to COVID-19.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you very much here. And we're going to start with Tom in Florida. But Tom, I'm going to have to take you through this next commercial break. What's on your mind? Tom, are you there? Okay, Tom in Florida, going once, going twice. Okay, let's go down to Steve in West Virginia. Steve, same comment. I'm going to have to break you up and take you through the next commercial break. What's on your mind? Okay, we may be having an issue with our phones. I know we just lost the video on our YouTube feed. I'm going to, let's see, we lost Tom. Hang on. Okay, well, we're going to take a commercial break here and try and figure out what the gremlins are doing. We will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay, unemployment getting worse.
Welcome back to our show here, and I think we've got the gremlins under control thanks to our control room crew here. So let's go to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Yes, Michael, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're on the air.
Yes, good day to you all. Yeah, first off, I want to talk about the Dragon in San Francisco, but before I do that, Mike, let's talk about this Tara Reid. This Tara Reid, I guess, is going to come out with a memoir or something a week before the election. So that should be interesting to see what's going to happen with that. If you remember when Trump was running, they had Stormy Daniels nonsense with Avenatti.
Yeah.
That criminal bullcrap. But, you know, they really are covering up this bumbling Biden like I've never seen before in politics.
Yes.
They're covering this dementia, senile, I don't know what you want to call this character. Well, we'll see. You know, a couple of your callers, they made a lot of sense. You know, the last caller, Joe's really good. He made some good points out of it. You know, Mike, let's get back to, we haven't called your show in a couple of days. Let's talk about the Dragon of San Francisco, Nancy Pelosi.
Yes.
Okay, Nancy Pelosi was on Wolfie Blitz's show the other day, and you don't want to give the stimulus out. And some black woman, I don't know if she's a congresswoman yet or she's running for office. She says, Nancy, you better give that, or you're going to hurt the Democratic Party. I don't know if she's a candidate or she's actually already elected. But I heard some about that, and I thought that was kind of interesting. This I think Pelosi's ready to explode. I don't know what she's going to do.
Pelosi's getting a lot of pressure from Democrats to move ahead with this deal because the voters are seeing that it's the Democrats that are holding up this next round of stimulus.
That's correct. That's right, Mike. So we'll see how this electric is going to turn out. I can just tell you here, Mike, in Florida, we had 30,000 people, like I told you last Saturday, cars. Those 30,000 cars. We had another rally here at Pence. They expected around 7,000 cars a day at FIU for Mike Pence. I think Trump's going to be in Miami tonight giving a town hall. I'm not quite sure. I thought I heard
yes,
that.
He is. NBC is carrying it, and they're drawing a lot of flack from liberal Democrats because he put it right over the top of Biden's town hall. And of course, tomorrow morning, everybody's going to be looking at the overnight ratings to see who drew the larger audience.
Yes. Well, I believe it's going to be Trump. Looks like Trump had a massive rally last night in Iowa. But, you know, Mike, he has something that's really been brought out that he did say in his rally last night that was really pretty awesome to me. I don't know if you caught that, if you watched the rally or if any of your other callers. But Trump did mention the fact that the Chinese got 1.4 billion people. They don't care if they lose probably 2/3 of their population. And Trump is basically saying that. And now we have to look at the real fact of this virus and all this nonsense with this Wuhan flu. Why haven't we heard the numbers? How is North Korea reporting no cases of coronavirus, Mike? Japan has very little.
Well, I think North Korea has now admitted. I think North Korea has admitted they have cases because in the 75th anniversary speechification, Kim Jong-un literally apologized to the people of North Korea for not handling the coronavirus crisis better.
Well, okay. Well, according to what I read, that it's 0 people going in North Korea caught the virus. I don't know. Maybe it's nonsense. But, you know, Trump did say some interesting stuff. Like, he didn't mention we're not in a war with North Korea. Like, if the Democrats, Hillary would have been in there, we'd have probably been already in a nuclear exchange. I do agree with that.
Technically, we're still at war with North Korea.
Well, I think it's cooled down a little bit, Mike, compared to if Hillary was in there. That's my opinion.
Yes, true.
Now, and I will say, you know, Mike, looking at this Wuhan flu, we sure that the Chinese ain't trying to do this to, like, make it where it's against, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but is this where Asiatic people wouldn't get it so severely? Or is it where is it so severely that the Oriental people won't get it, but European people will, Afro-Americans will, African people from the continent? I don't know. The genome of the different chromosomes, I don't know.
Well, there are ethnically sensitive biological weapons that have been developed, but COVID seems to be, affecting everybody to some greater and lesser degrees. I mean, it certainly hit the United States hard. It's hit Europe hard. We don't know the actual numbers coming out of China because they may be fibbing about it as much as North Korea was.
Okay, I go along with that. Mike. Also, let's look at this. Your Dustin. I want to hear him call in today if he hasn't already, because now they're saying the CDC saying these masks actually really ain't helping you. And really, they are your health.
They aren't. You're more likely to get COVID-19 wearing a mask than not wearing a mask.
Okay, so Mike, does that mean that you're going to take Dustin's advice then? Are you keep listening to Dustin's advice on this?
Well, I sort of wear my mask to be polite about it. I'm going to start wearing my Guy Fawkes mask just to get a laugh with that whole thing. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, Claire and I went to Walmart this morning, and I was surprised how many people aren't wearing masks. And nobody at the store was like getting on their case to go out to the car and get a mask.
Well, Mike, today I wanted just to know, Dustin, to know this. I went to Salvation Army. They have a store down here, and everything's really cheap. You get shirts and everything really for peanuts. Mm-hmm. And they had a bunch of Halloween costumes. So I just want Dustin to know I just buy a Hulk mask with the Hulk big hands, the big gloves. And you got giant, like whopper hands. And I got the whole thing for $1. I got the mask and everything. So I'm going to wear it for Dustin on Halloween. I'm going to wear my Hulk mask with my gloves and my shield on my chest. They give you a thing for your chest, like the Hulk. So this one, Dustin knows I will be wearing a mask on Halloween. And, Mike, I know you got other callers, but I want to also bring up back to San Francisco and Pelosi.
Okay.
You heard Wolf Blitzer said all these people are out poor. And Wolfie was telling Nancy, you got to give that money because people are starving and all that.
Yep.
And I'm thinking to myself, Mike, when these schmucks in the media, the putches I call them, in the media, are saying this, but you want all these illegal aliens in here? You want to give them free health care? Here we go again, Mike. You got these filthy, low-life demon rats, and a lot of your callers don't want to admit that Trump's done more to address that than any other candidate in their lifetime. And here this Wolf Blitzy and this other imbecile are talking about, they're talking about basically, Mike, what we got to feed all these homeless people.
Yes.
In the meantime, you want to give all these illegals health care that's costing multiple billions of dollars? I don't understand it, Mike. It's mind-blowing to me. It's mind-blowing.
Well, they're basically buying the illegal immigrants' votes, and they're not supposed to vote. But it appears that, they're going to be a major factor in this election.
Well, exactly. And, and Wolf Blitzer, he acted like a real sissy. I mean, next to Pelosi, that was kind of strange. I mean, he was like a bigger, witch than Pelosi was. It's just crazy what's going on in those with these liberals. But yeah, Mike, I just think that Trump. My opinion is right now, Mike, I don't know how it's going to really go in other states, but from what I'm seeing, Trump's going to win Florida. I'm pretty sure of that.
Well, I hope you're right. You're right. But again, the wild card here is just how much election fraud is going on, and the quick answer to that is a lot. I would like to see Trump win because I don't like Biden and Kamala Harris. But I think there's a very real possibility they are going to succeed in stealing this election from Trump. And if they do, it's his own fault for not cleaning up the election system while he was president of the United States.
And that I agree with you, Mike. And, I'll just say this. I'll bet $1,000 that he wins Indiana. That I know. That state's already in for Trump.
I'm starting to see a lot of Trump signs go up around here.
Yes, absolutely. And, Mike, you're right what you said, but I don't see. Look, 6 months after if bumbling imbecile Biden were to win, Mike, Kamala Harris is going to be president. That's all there is to it. The most liberal commie Bolshevik there is in the Senate will be president of the United States. So that's basically all I got to say today. And help Miles and a couple of great callers call in. And yeah, Mike, thank you for taking my call. And we'll see what happens. It's going to be a really amazing thing that's going to happen here in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is.
I do believe Biden may be getting arrested with this Russia hoax and Chinese hoax. We'll see. Well, that computer thing,
I don't think he's going to get arrested. I don't think he's going to get arrested, but he may get disgraced with it, especially if it turns out that Hunter did have underage obsessive photographs on that hard drive. Anyway, thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Steve in West Virginia. Hello, Steve. Thank you for waiting. What's on your mind? Steve, and oh, that's right. We lost Steve. Let's go to Bruce in Texas. Hello, Bruce. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, yeah. Hello, Mike. Hey, I'm not gonna. I know sometimes we get the cross caller bashing. I just want to remind Tom though that in August 2019, the U.S. Army Biohazard Lab shut down for failing security check. The lab is in Washington State, where they had the highest incidence of COVID-19. That was in August 2019. In October 2019, the Military World Games were held in Wuhan. In November 15th, the CDC put out a job posting for coordinators for the lockdown, and that was a GS9 job posting throughout about 20 major cities in the United States. That was in November 15th, the job opening opened up. Quarantine managers. In December 2019, the first COVID-19 case was diagnosed in Wuhan. So, you know, we need to connect these dots. I mean, this you know, I just hear this bad virus.
I think everybody is pretty much convinced that the outbreak occurred in Wuhan. The question is, you know, was it being created in a lab? What labs were involved? It does appear that some of the material came from a Canadian lab and an American university lab. And, you know, they're playing around with this very, very dangerous technology.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. Anyhow, I just cut my call short yesterday, so I just felt like ranting a little bit on sports. Have you ever watched?
Well, just quick, because we're running out of time.
Sure, I'll make it quick. This propping up of LeBron James as the greatest basketball player who ever lived and stuff. This is all because of his politics. And you know, they lost like 70% of their viewership this year, and it's just nauseating when I've about given up on even watching any televised commentary on ESPN. You had this guy, Stephen A. Smith, and he's up there in New York City, and he just, you know, the politics injected in sports is just ruining it for everybody.
Yeah, it did. And they're definitely looking at like reining that in for the next season, because they definitely took a hit this season. And it's easy to say part of it was the COVID-19 keeping people away, but I'm sure they've been polling sports fans, and they found that a lot of sports fans are saying that's not why I go to the games, to get lectured on about Black Lives Matter and Antifa and how I'm a white supremacist racist. I go there to watch the game, be entertained, drink a beer, have a hot dog, and go home happy.
Yeah, they've gone so far as to criticize Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones for not signing his star quarterback to the deal he wanted, which is in the high, almost $40 million a year.
Yes.
They offered him
I'm in the wrong line of work.
$30 million a year. Yeah, and so he was on a year-by-year salary. Then he gets this big injury to his leg. His bone sticks out of his ankle. And they're bashing him like, oh, you know, almost like he all but said, oh, you know, this white supremacist type of mentality, you know, it's like they're millionaire slaves or something. It's just ridiculous. I hope maybe the falling ratings will finally fix all that. That's all I had to say.
All right, thanks an awful lot, and we're going to switch over to Bobby in Florida. Hello, Bobby. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I feel like I'm the only person in America that brings this up on a talk show, and I can't help it because it's very personal to me. And last night I watched the videos again. Trump wished that woman well, and you know what I'm talking about. So
I know what you're talking about.
I know you do, and I know other people do too. When you start talking about pedos and all this other crap, and I don't care what he's done. I don't care what he's done I don't care. I don't like pedophiles at all.
No, I don't either.
I don't like them. And I don't like, if you wish one well, that speaks volumes. I mean, where have we got to in this country where if you go back 20 years ago, 10 years ago, if a president would come on TV and say, I wish a pedophile well, that woman, what did she do? She may have murdered children. And no one comes in behind me when I bring this up. I hear crickets. You want to start bashing somebody, bash me. I don't want to get that going, but I'm just telling you how I feel about it. And I'll keep it really short. It's very personal to me. And I don't care. I don't care if the man saved the world. You know, he's a pedophile. He's not saying he's a, who the hell knows? Everyone around him seems to be.
He may have been sending her a message that he was not going to push for full prosecution of her, not out of concern of his own exposure, but because people he knows were compromised by Jeff Epstein. So it's a very, very complex issue. I would like to see the whole thing see the light of day. But obviously, you know, we're looking into the darkest heart of the deep state with all that pedophilia and Jeff Epstein and all the stuff that he was doing. And now, of course, that actually lends credence to the suggestions by One American News Network that Hunter Biden had some compromising photos on his laptop drive. And I presume Rudy Giuliani has them now and will release them at an opportune time.
I don't trust him either. I don't trust anybody anymore at all. We are at the darkest time in American history.
I would agree with you.
Probably in the world. And
you know, the latest economic indicators, we're in a depression as well.
I believe that they're building a model here as they have in China. They want us to be like them. I think we're not at war with China. I think we're parallel with them. I think that that's what they want us, the social distancing, everything on our phones, track us, everything. It's coming down to that. And, you know, I don't know, Mike, you know, we're in trouble. I'll let you go, buddy. I just thought I'd let everybody know how I feel about it. I don't care if you save the world. If you're evil is evil, bad is bad. You know, I believe Maria Farmer. I believe that woman. I believe that Stormy Daniels, that girl was in her 20s. I think he was in his 50s when I kind of believe her. I think I do believe her because everyone else and the things he said on that bus, everybody's, well, he just said some things. That's pretty nasty what he said. I don't go around saying that, you know, and Christians don't build casinos. I want to say that again. Christians do not build casinos or endorse them. Talk to you later, Mike.
All right, thanks. We're going to take a break for our last commercial break of the show. I got a bunch of callers. I'm going to try and get to you in the last segment of our program. I'm probably not going to be able to get to all of you. We'll be right back.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Extend your life with Extendovite, a 7-herb combination made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, hawthorn, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Each herb was chosen for their abilities to help improve irregular heartbeats, chest pain, lower cholesterol, as well as normalize blood pressure and clean and strengthen arteries, plus much, much more. Doctors have taken people off of some or all of their pills just because they believe their patients got better while taking Extendovite. Get the dependability of Extendovite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly,
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to race on over to the phones here to Kelly in Austin. Kelly, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Hi there, Mike. Good to talk with you again. I've been out for like 2 weeks. My wife and I were traveling out in West Texas
Okay.
to see my old visitation area in the Big Bend, and then to visit people in places we hadn't seen. And I wanted to tell you that as we traveled across the area, the different cities outside of Austin, what I saw was one Trump sign after another, after another, after another. I saw some Biden signs. I was running to some Biden supporters. But Texas, they'll tell you that Texas could go blue. Texas is red. It's deep, deep, deep red when you get outside of places like Moscow and the Colorado here, otherwise known as Austin, Texas. And there's no way in hell that the Democrats have a snowball's chance in hell of winning any of the major seats here in Texas. I just don't see it. By the way,
Well, again, with an honest election, Trump and the GOP would do very well. Unfortunately, it's not an honest election, and that's why it's so much up in the air.
Yeah, well, last thing I want to tell you here is I was really proud to say, and I've spent much time in West Texas. Again, I've spent years working out there. I saw very few masks. They just don't like masks. Yeah, you see some people wear them when they have to, but as soon as they're outside of an area where they have to, the mask comes off, and it's like usual. And I love seeing it. So, my wife and I are looking forward to retiring out there near the Big Bend, and it can't be soon enough. So,
I heard that. I heard that. All right. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Ray in Arizona. Hello, Ray. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, Mike, I just wanted to call in and say that I'm listening to people that if our country goes down, it's going to be because people are just continually so in lockstep with the mainstream media. They believe every word is the reality, and that's why we're in this having this problem with this COVID thing, which is false, which is always was a false flag.
Mm-hmm.
But you have your last caller who was demonizing Trump for wishing, was it Maxwell, wishing her well?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, this guy doesn't get it. This is not directly, he was messaging her, like you said, that you want your buddy, what happened to Epstein might happen to you. That's what his message was. But people like that just don't get it because they're too damn simple. And that's the problem with our country. They're just too direct and too blunt. They don't understand these things.
Okay. Well, there's one other possibility regarding Maxwell. Somebody pointed out to me that we're seeing a lot more stories about abused and used and trafficked children being rescued, and maybe Maxwell made a deal. to help track down these kids, and maybe that's why Trump wished her well. All right, there's the music. My apology to the callers who could not get on the air, and please stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We need your help to keep doing what we're doing. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.